Uh, Thank you. Recently appointed, I've been with Techfugees just over a year. Just to introduce myself, I've primarily worked, you probably saw my profile, worked in the digital tech sector for most of my life. I'm very humbled to be in this role, being CEO of Techfugees. Most of my time is very much working with our volunteers. As you've seen, we've got an amazing group of individuals here in Canada, all working together, supporting the people who are displaced. And you probably know a lot about Techfugees or what we do. But I wanted to highlight a couple of things on some of the key initiatives that we're looking at. So why are we relevant? The nature of displacement is proliferating. 1% of humanity right now, that's about 84 million people are displaced. Climate change is going to be the catalyst. It's the whole pandemic situation is really a toxic blend that it's fueling the whole crisis of humanitarian displacement. So we are currently faced globally with an unprecedented challenge, and with that comes down the gauntlet of having very unusual steps of actions to kind of mitigate some of the issues that we're looking at. One of the things we're very good at Techfugees is looking at technology, and so what we do as a global collective is to work with the digital tech sector, with volunteers and cross-sector organizations to look at what is it we can do to harness responsible digital innovations that kind of uplift and empower those individuals who are displaced in this society. At the end of the day, we are very much a people-centric organization. Now, this graphic kind of shows that we place the refugees and those people who are displaced, who are unheard of and unseen, really in the center of everything that we do within the Techfugees community. And we're a global community spread across different localized, I would say, volunteer chapters, of which we have a chapter here in Canada. But essentially, it kind of draws that an international component as well as responsible innovations. But the three key pillars to everything that we do is centered around innovations, inclusions, and insights that kind of focuses on how do we move people from I would say, a negative state of being unheard, invisible, and distressed up the value chain of them to be heard and be included in and participating in the digital economy. And what we're trying to do as a collective is really galvanizing the spirit in the sense that creating small actions between us can actually lead to big change. And we've seen some amazing like-minded individuals and organizations coming together to kind of really fuel some key initiatives globally that allows these individuals to participate. So, and I want to highlight a couple of key initiatives that we're working on, and I'd love to hear how we can work with you guys. So one of the first challenges we've got around the world is basically connecting the unconnected. It's essentially looking at innovations that uplift the invisible and unheard. So I want to draw a particular example. We have an initiative right now where with our chapters, we're looking at technologies that strengthens, I would say, in settlement community resilience, micro enterprise and change agents. And we've kind of coined this as a knowledge is freedom, because as we know, knowledge is power. Power is a right and a freedom for as a basic human right. So, and what we're looking at is solutions. We have partnerships in place right now with an organization called Buffalo Grid, which is a content as a service platform which connects offline communities to get access to free education and health content, streaming services, and device charging. And so our objective right now is working with that relationship and to kind of uplift 1.2 million people who are displaced in 3 years. And the graphics you can see on the right are real life examples. So we have our colleagues in Uganda right now who's a refugee in the Rwanda camp in Uganda, who's actually building a physical community hub, a safe zone for women and children in that camp. But essentially, we'll be deploying this technology to really empower those displaced women and disenfranchised youths as change agents so they can get access to that. What's really, really interesting is the economic model around this. And so we're currently fundraising, but if you look at the numbers, it's kind of boiling down to, the cost of a coffee. Basically for an individual to get access to free education, health content, and streaming services to that end. The second thing we're looking at is around capacity, skills, capability, and really to kind of fuel the labor mobility challenge, right? So it's how do we leverage the relationships that we have across the different stakeholders to kind of harness their untapped talent. So we are very fortunate to be working with Google and Coursera right now on that one particular aspect of where disseminating, you could say, funded scholarships from Google to kind of uplift those displaced people to be job ready. Google have done a lot of great research over the last couple of years in terms of identifying 4 key high demand digital areas, and they have a partnership in place with Coursera. And so what we're doing now is working with that coalition to disseminate a number of these funded scholarships, and there's been a massive uptake within our global community for this, where for unemployed refugees to go online, there's no degree or relevant experience required, but they're required to go online, do their courses to be completed in 3 to 6 months, and essentially, get them up the ladder, you could say, to be job ready. And so we're excited about that, and we see an opportunity for that to be disseminated with other organizations too. Just see what. Oh, yep, sorry. Go back a slide. Supporting the digital capacity as well, we have a very specific program, and this is where our chapter here in Canada is involved, is around labor mobility. Western Union, as I'm sure you know, is the business model of creating international bridges. They're supporting an initiative here specifically to kind of address the labor shortage issue here for digital tech in Canada. And what we're doing with them is looking at how we can uplift those individuals, particularly from Lebanon, where there is a surplus of talent, and to create a digital bridge for those individuals to get access to remote working opportunities and skills, and then hopefully create a pathway for resettlement. More recently in the United States, on the back of that, we are sector members of the ITU and also working very closely with USAID and MasterCard, for example. We have a strategic relationship now with Chili Piper. You'll see on the graphic there on the right. Chili Piper recently is a Series B software as a service company headquartered in California. And essentially, they have made a significant commitment, a landmark support for, providing hiring opportunities for refugees, but also making sure that they're giving time to support that community. I was just in New York just yesterday, with the Chili Piper team. We had an amazing collective of I would say, some senior individuals from corporate America talking about what is it we can do to kind of harness the untapped human talent that's available both domestically and internationally, and to kind of help companies to kind of accelerate their path for recovery from the pandemic. And so there's this, what we're doing now within the chapters here is kind of looking at how do we engage with the different digital tech stakeholders here in Canada, match them to particular talent, working with the stakeholders and partnerships that we have placed in Lebanon, and really trying to create this digital corridor initiative with us. It's a brand new initiative that nobody's ever tried, but we believe that by working together, the levels of risk that's involved in doing this is kind of mitigated, because it's a shared risk initiative between the coalition to kind of drive in terms of harnessing the untapped talent that's around in that market. And lastly, the third component was kind of supporting both those types of initiatives, really around the human-centric ethics and access to information, and it's really centered around our solidarity as a community to protect rights of those individuals. Fundamentally, we're driven by key values within the organization that draws magnetisms for like-minded individuals and like-minded organizations, particularly from the digital tech company, to come together. So we are now creating platforms in terms of creating trusted information access, because there's a lot of great information, but unfortunately it's fragmented for the refugees themselves. They don't know where to go and get those trusted connections. So with our relationships globally, what we're doing is that we are providing that trusted access and credibility for individuals and organizations to access that worldwide community of innovators and contributors and ambassadors with refugees for direct experience and knowledge sharing. Now, the knowledge sharing piece is very important, and you'll see in the graphic right down at the bottom, there's a piece of work that we created on the back of COVID-19 last year, where the community very quickly got together. They galvanized open data sets on how COVID-19 was impacting the displacement communities worldwide. What they did was they aggregated both top-down institutional data together with bottom-up data, and they brought it. They did a hotspot mapping around it, and it was curated. But the interesting thing around that was is looking at bringing the stories, the refugee stories who were impacted by that, to the forefront. And so we orchestrated worldwide live sessions to kind of really show the qualitative evidence of research and mapping of those particular factors. And so as an organization, our core ethos is really, harmonizing the community as a collective to really bring the open data sets to the forefront and give the opportunity for those individuals who are unheard and unseen and from the displacement communities, so they can participate not only within the community, but also participate in the digital economy for what we're doing as an organization. So with that, this is what we do in a nutshell. We are empowering displacement inclusion with responsible innovations through those three key initiatives worldwide. And currently our chapter here in Canada right now are working along those key aspects that I've just mentioned. So that was my presentation. Hopefully that covered your time, Gabe.
That's excellent. Thank you so much. Everyone, please join me in a virtual round of applause for Raj.
Thank you.